you're thinking about moving to Southwest Florida, you're going to want to watch this video, because in it I'm going to go over the top 3 reasons why I actually moved to the Fort Myers Cape Coral area. If you've been following along with any of my previous videos, you know that I grew up in the southwest suburbs of Chicago. I moved down here at the age of 21 in 2003, and one of the main factors was weather, right? I grew up in the Midwest, that cold environment, shoveling your driveway, having seasons, which you know, was nice. But one thing I noticed when I lived up there is I was always working, right? I had a couple different jobs. I have a couple different jobs now, but it's a little bit different environment. So I'd leave one job, go to the next one as a fireman, and you know, didn't do a lot of stuff outside. And a lot of it was on the weather. You know, we appreciated the summertime, but that, you know, they started getting that cold climates. It wasn't that great. And we used to actually vacation in this area since I was a kid. My grandparents at one point owned property down here. And so I always had this draw. So I came down to Florida, started my career as a fireman. I'm still doing it. Got a few more years left with that. But so I tested around in Florida. I'm like, I want to be there. And so that was the number one reason, was the weather. I didn't care where, I just wanted to go. So the second reason that I actually came down here was a job opportunity. So if you don't know this, when you're getting into public safety, whether the cop, fireman, that you have to take tests, a written test, typically a physical test, and it's a competitive process. So I tell people, when you get the job, it's like winning a lottery. So I took probably close to 10 different tests. I got the phone call from Fort Myers one day, and they offered me a job, and I said, absolutely, I need to, you know, I'm 1,200 miles away. I got to give my employer 2 weeks notice because I grew up on that department, and I moved down. And so I came down here, and the first thing I noticed was, wow, I'm in a t-shirt a lot. It's pretty rare to actually put a sweatshirt on. I like the environment, going to the beach. You know, as a young guy, I had time, but I didn't have the money to do a lot of things. But I definitely liked the culture that was down here and just how everyone was, and it was a little bit slower paced, as if I had to describe it from where I grew up, and it just was nice. And I started noticing that I was spending a lot more time outdoors. Why was I spending time outdoors? Because of the weather. So the weather, job opportunity, you know, I ended up staying in this area because I just liked it. You know, it's not as the hustle and bustle as maybe the East Coast. It's growing now, but it had everything that I wanted for it. Talk to you, you know, it was basically the weather, job opportunity, but ultimately the number one reason, what kind of sums up everything, was, and I share this with friends that I grew up with, family members when we talk, is the quality of life. I feel like I have a higher quality of life because of the amount of time I get to spend outdoors doing things. I'm not cooped up. My wife's actually from Maryland, and you know, we visited her friends, and all her friends have, you know, much larger homes than we do. And we were talking about something, how the homes just seem different there, and I go, yeah, did you notice we stayed the whole time indoors? We never went outdoors because just the weather. Down here, most of the homes, especially you get the older ones, I had an older home that was built in the 60s before, they're quite small, but you're just kind of in there to sleep. Right? You spend a lot of times outdoors just enjoying everything because the weather is conducive to that environment. So those are kind of the 3 reasons. You know, biggest thing was the weather. I got the job opportunity, so that's why I came to this specific area. Loved it, and the quality of life I think is exponential living in these type of climates, basically. So that being said, I just kind of want to share that with you guys. So if you're thinking about moving here 9 days or 90 days, shoot me a text, give me a call, book a Zoom call with me, because I'd love to show you around town.